Hi, good afternoon. Trump's inauguration next week. I plead, Donald, forget Canada. Make the United Kingdom the 51st state of the United States of America. Now, before you all go crazy and send in your comments about this, hear me out. It's a bit of a flight to fancy, this. But what have we got? We've got a leader, Starmer. Today he's done a debate, a presentation about AI. He's standing between two robots. I didn't know which one was the effing robot, if I'm honest with you. The man is like a Dalek without charisma. And as far as I'm concerned, the whole lousy cabinet, I'd like to get a Dalek and go, exterminate, exterminate, or however it goes. Are you with me or against me? Donald Trump will become the president of the United States next week, and I'm sure he'll make America great again. He'll do it this time. He'll make it happen. Where's the leader like that in our country? And don't say Nigel Farage, because he's blotted his copybook just recently. So, as a flight of fancy, would you like us to become the 51st state of the United States of America? And as an Angel, she says, I wish for the next 4 years. Fair enough. Let's see. Put your comments up if you want to talk to me. This is the John Gaunt Show. It's live and it's unleashed. Let's have a flight of fancy. Let's have a discussion. I say our politicians are useless. People are saying, oh, get rid of Starmer. Who would you replace him with? There's nobody on the Labour benches to replace him with. And then who on the Conservative? Kemi, whatever her name is. She's no leader. How do we get out of the mess we're in? The pound is in decline today. Starmer says AI will lead us to the promised land. I say no. I would rather Donald Trump said that. What's your view? And Angel says, I'm glad I've caught you live. Thank you. Don't think anybody else has yet. But come on, if you want to join in, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, and it's on Twitter as well. Don't forget to join my my YouTube page, John Gaunt TV. Right, let's get cracking. Rachel Reeves. This is the standard of politicians we've got. Rachel Reeves went to China and she came back with 600 million quid in a trade deal. Well, that's about as much as we're spending on the illegals getting in at Dover in their rubber dinghies. It'll last for like a blink. It's nothing. 600 million. The Chinese must have been laughing their socks off. A lot of people on Twitter today said, did she get a bottle of Fanta and some prawn crackers as well? You know, when you get a banquet from the Chinese takeaway, it's a little bit racist maybe, but it makes the political point. They've had us over. We have sold our soul, or she has, to the totalitarian Marxist state, to the Chinese Communist Party for a piffling 600 million pounds. She is completely out of her depth. Oh, but don't worry. He's back to this afternoon. Yes, he has. Keir Starmer says, yes, I'm backing her, and so is the whole cabinet. Well, I don't want to worry you, Keir, but the other story that broke over the weekend is this allegation against one of your MPs who's been slagging off GB News about the Asian, no, I'm not going to call them Asian, call them what they are, Pakistani Muslim or rape gangs. The allegation is he was going to meet a 15-year-old boy or a 14-year-old boy. What for? We don't know. But then we all looked at his Facebook page, didn't we? Don't pretend you haven't, or his Twitter page. It was full of gay porn. No problem. If you want to be gay, no problem whatsoever. Big problem if the boys are under the age of consent. And then, of course, this man is called Ivor Kaplan. And he's the MP, or was, for Labour MP for Brighton and Hove. I think he's a filthy pervert when I read some of these tweets. And I don't mind saying it. As I say, I've got nothing against him being gay. But then I looked at the people who are following him. It's most of the cabinet. So my question is clear. Mr. Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, Harriet Harman, did you know that this is the filth he's been indulging in? He's been released on bail now until April. Isn't it odd how when anybody gets in trouble with the coppers, if they're kind of in any way associated with Labour or indeed Keir Starmer, the trial isn't like next week, like the kids and the blokes who rioted after Southport. No, the trial straight away. Likewise, the trial of the man who's alleged, and he is a man, not a boy, is on the 20th of this month, same day that Trump gets made president again. The same day I hope he makes this emergency announcement saying, Britain, the United Kingdom, oh, it's going to be beautiful. I hope he says it's going to be beautiful. It's going to become the 51st state. Don't you feel more American than European? I certainly feel more American than I feel French or German or the rest of it. We've got much more in common with them. And I like his ambition. I like the fact he's going to get rid of the illegals. I like the fact that they've still got a death penalty in certain states. I like the fact that Donald Trump says if you're an illegal and you kill a law enforcement officer, you're going to go to Sparky. We need that kind of leadership. I like the way that Donald Trump says on day one, I will sort out the problem in Zelensky's Ukraine. He'll get them together and sort it out. I like the fact he wants to take on Hamas. I like the fact that he wants to ally with Israel. So in this flight of fancy, I would much rather be the 51st state than carry on working with Labour and the Tories. Let's face it, they're redundant. If we got rid, and I think there's a very good chance that Starmer is not going to last much longer. Rachel Reeves, well, she's toast. She's just got the chairman's vote, hasn't she? Like in football. So she'll be out of the door soon. But what other dullard can he replace her with? And even if you got rid of Labour, if you had an election tomorrow, would you vote Conservative? I wouldn't. And this is the thing I found recently with slagging off Starmer. People saying, oh, well, your lot are no good. Well, my lot, I haven't got a lot. I despise all of them. A pox on all your houses, as Shakespeare would say. KGC says, I can't believe I'm saying this, but all things considered, John, yes, he agrees with me. Let's become the 51st state of the United States of America. Hi, John, I like your green screen. You've had that grand piano a long time. Ha, 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 says Maureen on Facebook. Yeah, I'm going to change the picture at the back. I just haven't got round to it, Maureen. So anyway, it is a green screen, by the way. Anyway, it's not my house. Anyway, if you want to join in, please get commenting now. And if you're watching it later on catch up, I'll still take your comments. Put them through YouTube for me, the John Gaunt TV page. It's as simple as that. Or get on Twitter, get on Facebook. A few people pressing the like button. I like to see that as well. And I'll read out your comments if you put them up. So, Starmer is standing by Reeves. Reeves is useless. So is the rest of the cabinet. And look at the way, is it a surprise that we find out there's another alleged pervert, paedophile within Labour? Have you heard the stuff coming out today on GB News that Maggie Oliver's saying that in that big first investigation, people were told to look elsewhere, find another ethnic group that is grooming or raping children. They had a Hindu guy on there today. Fascinating. Try and watch it on Catch Up if you can. And he said, I'm not going to be involved in a fishing expedition. He said, we know who the people are. They're Pakistani Muslim extraction. That's where they're from. That doesn't mean that every Muslim is a paedophile or is part of these rape gangs. But there's no point in looking at Hindus and Sikhs. I'm sure it happens in those communities. Like, people never fail to point out most paedophiles are white. Well, they would be, because we're a predominantly white country, aren't they? And they say this as if they're playing top trumps. Top trumps on the paedophile rape gangs. I've got a better one than you because there's more whites being convicted. It's just nonsense. And it just ignores the tragedy, the horror of the girls who have been viciously abused. But what I find really odd is they're now saying that that first investigation looks like it's flawed because they didn't want to actually admit it's one section of one community. How is that fair? If it was a bunch of white blokes, skinheads doing it, are you telling me they would hold back? A bit like when they'd give a description of a robber. I mean, how many days did it take the little kid, the kid who got murdered in Bedford, for them to actually say the suspects are black? Listen, it's not racist to do that. In fact, I would argue it's more racist to treat them with kid gloves, treat them differently. Like the Southport guy. Why did we go through this charade of, oh, he's a boy, we can't name him. Oh, we're not going to, he's not, why did they allow all that row to come by where people immediately thought he must be a Muslim? And then, of course, it was denied. Now we find out, and I keep saying this, that the Alec Carlisle and the czar for terrorism, and the tourism there, for terrorism, there won't be any tourism. No one's going to come to this godforsaken septic isle, are they? But the bottom line is, these people who are experts said, by Starmer not saying who the lad was, we got a situation where people jumped to conclusions and therefore we had riots. Now, I don't think they're blaming Starmer, and I'm not. But Starmer contributed to it. Perhaps he should have locked himself up. At least then he couldn't have done any more damage, could he? I'm sure Lord Ali would buy him a really nice suit, made to measure prison suit, like with little arrows on it. Huh? That'd be nice, in a nice pink colour or something. I don't know. But you understand where I'm coming from. But I want a leader. I want Donald Trump. I want a 51st state situation. It's hypothetical, but listen to me. Do you agree? How have we got to a state where a bloke can not even be in court? This is the accused in Southport, but can do the jumper trick so they can't even do an artist impression of him. Is that how it's going to be next week? When it finally, well, week on Monday, isn't it, or Tuesday? Is it going to be like that then on the 20th? Or are we going to be allowed to have the court artist picture of this man who is accused of this heinous crime? I'd like your opinion, please. Just give me your views. Carl Eves, the problem is Reeves has an IQ of 87 and she's in a job that requires one of 137. I like that a lot. Thank you very much indeed for that. Right, never mind. Any more comments, please bring them through and I'll read them out. So what I'm trying to say is if we had a real leader, and I know Donald Trump's got all these other faults, but surely he would put Britain, therefore America, all of us first. The decent, silent majority need to come first, not the scumbags who want to rape you or murder you and the rest of it. Bluebell on YouTube says, I don't think Reeves will last long now. Well, you're not going to get a prize for telling the future with that comment. I agree with you totally. I don't see how she can cling on, but I think she will. Because this whole lousy government, there is no opposition. There's no one to replace it, even in the Labour Party. And then if you look outside and people go, oh, we've got to get rid of them, get Labour out. Well, it won't work. It won't happen. Who in the Conservatives would you want in? And how come we're in this mess? 14 years of their misrule. Look at the abuse. Look at the way they looked after their mates during COVID. The PPE scandals. Come on, look at it. They are all self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough. And I've said this for years. We need a revolution. Do you know what? This is why they're so upset with Elon Musk. Elon Musk has come very left field or right field. He's come into the debate and he's basically said it's a complete and utter disgrace, that the rape gangs has been a cover-up. He thinks it's a cover-up. He has brought that to the fore. And because of that, it's now top of the political agenda. So now we've got this lovely situation, haven't we? This lovely situation where people are now saying Elon Musk should keep out of British politics. Why? Why isn't he allowed to say we're going off kilter? We say it about other countries. The BBC have been on an anti-Trump bandwagon for years. So why isn't Elon Musk allowed to say it? And I'll tell you what Elon Musk has done. Because he owns X / Twitter, he's therefore allowed other people to have similar thoughts. And so then we're looking at our politicians and saying, well, I'm saying they're all self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough. And they don't like it because their power and all their chums in the mainstream media are now being challenged. Did you see, what's her name? Married to Adam Bolton. Have you ever seen the sort of stuff he's coming out with recently? Well, his wife used to be, I've told you this before, Tony Blair's gatekeeper, so to speak, with the press. She has just been given a damehood. And you don't think these people are literally and metaphorically sleeping together? They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all part of the same, I was going to say class, but it's kind of more than class because they can be working class. They're all corruptible in its loosest sense. They're all part of the same gin and tonic set. All having our holidays in Tuscany. Let's go skinny dipping. Let's put our Birkenstocks on. They don't give a sweet FA about you or me. They don't care. You see, and that's the problem. Elon Musk might be the richest man in the world, but I think he really, genuinely cares about these girls who were raped and abused. That's the thing with Donald Trump as well. He's got what you call the common touch. Yes, he's incredibly wealthy. Yes, he's incredibly successful. Yes, he's a chauvinist. Yes, he's all these things. But when he talks, people listen. He has a way of communicating. If you saw Starmer, well, not just today, on any time of these debates, right? Anytime he's on the telly, he's about as inspiring. Well, it's just not inspiring, is he? He'll never be a leader. Even today, when he was talking about this great revolution in AI and we're going to be the leaders of it, we're going to be there. You're not thinking, oh, shut the F up, will you, Starmer? What's this? 51st American state? Question mark. GB? Question mark. No thanks very much, Molly Mouse. Well, why, Molly? Why are you against it? Tell me your reason why you're against it. Do you think this country will be any worse off? I love the way that Trump says he's going to put tariffs on. He's fed up of American firms who go into Mexico to make their products. I mean, we'd have to do it with people like Dyson. Makes out he's a great Brit with his vacuum cleaners. Then he buggers off to Singapore or wherever it is to make them. We should be saying, no, you want to do that and bring it back into the country. We're going to charge you a hell of a lot more. That's all Trump's doing. That's all Trump's doing. He's protecting American jobs. So I want to be in this hypothetical. It's just an argument. It's not going to happen, is it? I would like us to become the 51st state where we're part of America and Americans are put first. Why wouldn't you want that? Do you think you've got a government at the moment that puts Brits first? Let's look at immigration, both illegal and legal. What about the latest stories about the NHS? They're jumping the queue. What about the money spent on translators? What about the fact we don't give everybody who wants to come and live in our glorious country a medical before they come? What about the fact these people will rip up their passports and then they end up in 4-star hotels? Meanwhile, our heroes, ex-army people, ex-military service people, are sleeping on the streets or screaming in the subways because they haven't got the support. They've got mental health issues. Do you think that's putting Britain and British people first? Because I don't. I don't. I love America. I love the fact that in America, you can be a peanut farmer and become the president. Like Jimmy Carter, whose funeral they've just had. Oh, by the way, how funny was that? Did you see that when Trump was talking to Obama and hysterical hyena. She had a face like a slapped ass, didn't she? Very, very funny. How did she get to a position where she almost became the president? Maybe that's the beauty of America. Stephen Freestone says, if we became the 51st state, we'd be bankrupted for healthcare like they are in the States. Fair point, Stephen. However, is the NHS in rude health? Don't get me wrong, I believe in the NHS. It saved my life just a year or so ago. Of course I believe in it. And I believe in it being free at the point of need. I do believe in that. But there's a lot wrong with it. It needs reforming. I wouldn't want to go to an American style of health because you can pick holes in my argument. Of course you can. Of course you can. And I understand that. But don't make out that our NHS, it is wonderful, but please don't make out that it's financially viable. It's not. I've told this tale many times. We were talking about the NHS when I was in Luton on BBC Three Counties Radio. And suddenly this old fella phoned in. And he said, John, there's not enough money in the NHS for all the people who want to use it. I said, yeah, well, we've made that point already, mate. He said, nah. He said there was never enough money. I said, oh, how do you know? He says, I'm an old guy. I'm 78 or whatever it was. And he said, I was involved in the discussions in the Labour executive or something with Nye Bevan when we discussed this. And we told him then there wasn't enough money. There was never enough money to fund it. And of course, with the advance in medical science. And I mean, this is what Starmer was going on about today, about how AI can really help. And I think it can. I've got a friend of mine who's just had a cataract operation this very morning. I remember when I had mine, you had to wait for ages. Now they've got it to such a state where they can do it very, very quickly. And there isn't really a waiting list. That's good news. That's good news. So I'm not slagging it. You can pick holes in the argument, but the general ethos of what I'm saying is we would be a better country and a stronger country. Would be less class-ridden as well. Darren Adams, I'm extremely frustrated, John. The wealthy continue to amass more wealth while the rest of us are struggling to stay afloat. You're absolutely right, Darren. And that's kind of where this thinking's coming from. I'm fed up of being the poor man of Europe or the poor man of the world. We're a great country. Look at what we've invented. Why do you think every Tom, Dick and Mohammed wants to come here? It's because we are a brilliant country. But our politicians have sold us down the river. They don't think we're brilliant. Any opportunity to have a go, they'll have a go. Remember the woman? She's just been made a dame as well. I can't remember her name now. Big fat woman. She was in the cabinet. She didn't get a position with Labour now, so they've given her a damehood. She was the one who didn't like the fact that somebody put the flags of St. George outside the window of their own house. She was against it. She thought it was very plebeian. Yeah, she didn't actually say that, but that's what I can't remember her name. If you remember her name, just tell me and I'll slag her off right royally. But that's kind of the thing we're up against. That's the thing we're up against. I don't think the people who are in that political class, and I've worked with them, and the people in the BBC and the people in the mainstream media, they despise us. They look down their snooty noses at what we eat, what we drink, where we want to go on holiday, the fact that we love our football team, even when they're crap, right? They hate all that. Oh, they're all so sophisticated when they're going on their holidays to Sardinia or Tuscany. As I said before, ooh, let's go skinny dipping. Let's wear our Birkenstocks. Let's read The Guardian. Let's have a tofu burger. That mob. And it doesn't matter whether they're so-called left or right. They're the enemy. They're the enemy. And they hate our country. They're the ones who think squatties in Aldershot having a bust-up are they're just animals, aren't they? Oh, horrible people. Yeah, but if we get invaded, they want those horrible people to defend this green and pleasant land. Lady Pan, I'd love to be part of the US, but who will be in after Trump? Well, I'm hoping J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance is brilliant. I've been a fan of his for years, ever since I read his book, Hillbilly Elegy. Something like that. If you get a chance, read it. As a nurse, I would insist on keeping the NHS, says Angela. Yeah, Angela, I see where you're coming from, and maybe that would be part of the debate. But what I tell you we would get if we had the Americans, We'd have a police force that was a police force. This is with Trump. A police force, not a service with rainbow laces. I mean, he's going to get rid of all the people. Have you seen how many people now in top military positions have started to wear a frock, right? He's getting rid of all of them. He doesn't want that. Says you can be a transvestite, transsexual, whatever you want, but not in military. I think he's probably right, isn't he? But I'm willing to debate that as well. I'm just saying we need leadership. We need a vision. I think that's the thing. Starmer has got no vision. Yeah. He's myopic. Is that that's the word, isn't it? Yeah, Colonel Blimp, isn't he? Yeah. Can't see further than the end of his snooty nose. He's finished anyway. He ain't going to last. He won't get through 4 years. I don't even think he'll get through this next year. I thought he'd be gone by Christmas. And when the big scandals hit, and they're going to, everyone's meant to be quiet about it and don't mention it. It's like the other thing. You can't mention Nick Brown. What happened to him? Where's Wally? Super injunction city we're in. You can't talk about it. So I'm not going to. Get on with it. Trump has more idea than this utter clown Starmer, says Pete Tunney. We're rapidly sinking on most fronts and we need to be rescued. Good. You're understanding what I'm trying to say, Pete. Thank you for your comment. Hawkeye. Yep, better to be the 51st state than the state we're in at the minute. Laugh out loud. Now that's funny. That's clever. Thank you very much indeed. All I'm doing here is saying, in a hypothetical world, right? Let's just discuss it. Let's discuss it. What's better about America? I tell you, and like the way they're going to reform their healthcare with Kennedy Jr. He's talking about the things I was talking about. I was talking about this 5 or 6 years ago, 8 years ago now. With my simplest fact: cut out the carbs, cut out ultra processed food. That's what's killing us. It's the sugar that's giving us the cancer. It's not the meat. Well, in America, they still believe in meat, don't they? Meat and 2 veg. Anyway, different subject. I'd love to be part of the USA, he says Bluebell. Thank you very much indeed. Where's this one? Mark Gavin Monk. You're getting the hang of this now. You're getting the hang of it. 51st state, relaxed gun laws. There's enough maniacs running amok on the street with knives, like that poor nurse. Mark, you're right. You're right. And of course, actually, no, I'm going to be straight with you. I believe we should have the right to possess a gun. I believe we should have that in this country. So that would be an advantage of being in the 51st state of the United States, to uphold the Constitution. You know, the reason they have that is because they're a federation, effectively, of all these different states, and they're always worried that central government could stop them being independent, so to speak. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what that's about. Now, I agree. Kids slaughtering other kids in schools, nobody wants that. But it's not like we don't have violent crime in our country, is it, Mark? And I tell you what, I'd arm every copper tomorrow, just like in the States. And if they blew somebody away, we'd have an investigation, but we wouldn't have a situation where we, first of all, assume that the police officer is the baddie. That's the other thing that's crap about this country. We're always the flipping enemy. The decent silent majority are always the baddies. How about us being the goodies for once? How about saying, well, actually, I'm married, got kids. I think before you get married, you should not have kids, really, if you can help it. You should get married. Best way to bring up kids is dad and mum, yeah. And that way. Other ways can happen, and that's fine, but that's the best way. You're not allowed to say that anymore. You're not allowed to be judgmental. Well, that's mental, isn't it? If something isn't right for society or for a city, we should be able to say so. And we should be able to clamp down on the arses who are causing the problem. Wojtek, good afternoon, my friend, one of my oldest fans here. We need a PM with a good business brain, something that this country has not had for far too many years. There needs to be zero tolerance. If you infringe any laws, you must be sanctioned, and immediately. Wojtek, you're not getting a row with me. You are not going to get a row with me. That is exactly what should happen. That's the problem with the cabinet. Old Rachel Reeves goes away. She comes back with a 600 million. I keep looking at it thinking it must be billion. It's not. I've checked it loads of times. It's million, right? Sounds like a lot of cash. Hold on a minute. But it's piss all in the grand scale of things. Probably wouldn't keep the NHS going for a month. Nobody in that cabinet has business experience, proper business experience. But it'd be the same on the Tories. They all come from a factory. I think it's in Wales, or they probably outsourced it by now. It's probably Estonia or somewhere. Where they make these MPs and they put different chips in. Oh, you can be a Labour one, you can be a Tory one, you can be a Lib Dem. But I tell you what, you've got the major chip, you're still going to be a liberal, an uber liberal, no matter what rosette you wear. Oh, everything goes, everything's great. Just stop oil. Let's get the coppers dancing with them. Do you see those arses today? They've now gone into the Abbey and spray painted onto tombs. Who do these people think they are? I actually agree with a lot of what they're saying. I agree with sustainability. I agree with changing to more ecological ways of powering things. We should have gone nuclear. I said this 20 years ago. We should have done. I agree with it. I'm washing out my plastic bottles. I don't know why, though, because when I see them, when they put them in the dustbin here, in the dust carts here, they all go in the same one. Oi, oi, Gaunty son. Good to see you. Who's this? Oh, slapping the bird's ass. I love your name. But no further. Oi, oi, Gaunty son. Glad to see you back online again, fella. Well, it's going to be every day soon, especially if I get enough support. I do need people to support me. You know what I'm doing at the moment? It's called buymeacoffee.com. www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. You can see it on the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. John Gaunt TV, by the way. Please just donate anything from a £5 upwards, please. It's just making me be able to do these things. I've read the Quran in context, Mr. Gaunt. The problem is extremism, not Islam. I agree. Most Muslims don't read the Quran. They just listen to scholars without understanding what they're reading, says Wald. Wald, I agree with you totally. I agree. I'm not anti-Muslim. I'm just anti the arseholes. Mark Evan Monkey said the same thing again. I've read that one out already, mate. What's this? I heard Trump likes his V8 engines too. I think he does, right? I think he does. You're right. The knife crime issue is against the core teaching of not only Islam, but Christianity. Thou shalt not kill. It doesn't stop them though, mate, does it? When these extremists shout Ali's snack bar, they just get on and do it. Yeah? They just get on and do it. Wald then says, Krajewski is true. Thank you. Kids are being hurt on the streets. Look at the situation now and what's been going on for years, says Bluebell. Thank you, Bluebell. I keep forgetting to push the button so you can see them. Labour, this is the one, have been silent on Ivor Kaplan unless I've missed something. You're right. Well, now they'll hide behind the fact that he's been put on bail, hasn't he, to April. See, but it'll go away. It'll be months and months away. If you can get a so-called yobbo in court after the weekend, why can't Ivor Kaplan? Seems pretty clear-cut to me what the accusation is. Get him in there, get the kid in. Did he do it? Da-da-da. Boom. Sentence. I didn't mean... Anyway, you know what I mean? It's the same, isn't it? But it won't be, because we live in two-tier care, where we have two-tier policing, a two-tier justice system. And that's what's wrong. But they just keep coming for more and more money off you, and they only take you seriously when it's an election. And now they're against Elon Musk. Well, Elon Musk would be better at running this bloody country than Keir Starmer or Kemi Badenoch. They're all useless. I don't know how many times I've got to say this, guys. I am not a Tory. I have voted Tory in the past. I also voted for Tony Blair the first time he stood to be the Prime Minister. I'm sorry, I did. And actually, that was exciting when he came into power. That was exciting. Not like Keir Starmer. I want us to be the 51st state. I've given up on British politics or British politicians. I've given up. No, well, listen, if you want to convert to Islam, on you go. But we're not going to get distracted into a different debate, my friend. Okay, right? I think all religion is crap, including the Muslim faith, including Islam, including Christianity, including the Jewish faith. Right? I'm not religious at all, and I'm not even going to have debates about it because it just bores the arse off me. It really does. I just want us all to get on, right? But what I do want to debate is how we make this country great again. And the only person I can see who could do that at the moment is Donald Trump with JD Vance and with Elon Musk and Mr. Kennedy. Don't you wish that next week he was going to be, it's a week on Monday, I'm sure, that he was going to be our president? I know we got a great country and I know all of that and our heritage and our culture, but these tosspots who run the country, I've had enough of them. And the civil service. I mean, that's another great thing that he's doing, isn't it? He's getting rid of the civil service. That's one of the things that Elon Musk is going to be involved, cutting it down. Because no matter who you elect, you get them, the civil service, as the government. They're in charge. Angel A, with total respect, that's like saying as a driver, I insist on keeping Deliveroo. The NHS is awash with our money. They just don't value actual medical staff. They're pronouns. Well, KGC, I kind of agree with what you're saying there. It needs root and branch reform, and they need to focus on the patients and the staff. I'm with you 100%. We don't need all these diagnostic officers, do we? We don't need them in schools either. Huh? We need schools to be teaching our culture, our heritage, our history first, before they teach anything else. That's what needs to happen. That's what's going to happen in the United States of America. Matt says, I want to be proud of our country again. Well said, Matt. So do I. But how the hell are we going to do that? How the hell? Who in the whole political spectrum would you vote for? Now, I know people are going to say Farage and reform, but come on. Can he form a government? He seems a bit confused on certain things. And please don't say Tommy Robinson. I've met Tommy Robinson many times, interviewed him, had coffee with him, had drinks with him, right? But he's not the future because he's a bit too fanatical. Let's just call it what it is. But Donald Trump, imagine that. Imagine the flag, even if it's their bloody flag and not our own flag. Imagine every classroom has that in the corner. After 9/11, I was on BBC London at the time, and we went to New York and we went to New Jersey, where The Sopranos were filmed, one of my favorite TV shows. And we went to visit because London and New York were, obviously very similar things. The thing that struck me was nearly every porch in every house had the flag, the stars and stripes. When you go into schools, they're there. I tell you where I did go. I went into a mosque in New Jersey. They had the flag. They had the flags in schools, in churches, town halls. It means something to them. Whereas to us, it doesn't really. Well, maybe because the fascists ran it for so long. I don't know. But we need to reclaim the flag. But what we need is, come on. Are you with me? Do you think I've lost my marbles? Do we want to be the 51st state, even if it's in a hypothetical situation, that we start to look to the States more than we look to Europe? I think it's going to be really interesting what happens after the 20th. Really, really interesting what Trump does and whether we follow suit. There's talk that Starmer's not going to be invited. He's certainly not going to be the first person through the door. There's always this scramble when there's a new president. Last time, Theresa May, when Trump was elected, she got allowed to be one of the first leaders, in fact, the first European leader, to go and see him. And he upset her because he held her hand when he walked her through the White House. Now, I think that's being a gentleman, isn't it? It's a bit like opening a door for a lady. But, oh, no, not in woke Britain. That was terrible. And Theresa, the miserable cow, she got really upset about it. It somehow went against her feminist ideals. Anyway, I'll give up. Jed O'Neill, people are finally waking up, John. Maybe, Jed. I hope so. We need to wake up. So we need a leader like Trump, and we haven't got one. I can't see one anywhere. If you know one, let me know. Get on Twitter, get on Facebook, or get on my page. Send me comments on the video for here. And if you're listening on audio, don't forget I've now got John Gaunt TV, which is my what do you call it? My YouTube channel, and you can leave comments there as well. Been good talking to you. I've got to rush because I've promised to see a very old friend tonight. Anyway, how long have you had there? 40 minutes. 40 minutes, and you've not even bought me a coffee. If you fancy doing so, you know what to do. www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Hope you're enjoying the shows. I am back. They're only going to get better, let me assure you. That's been good today. 288, 289 people watching live. Not bad for an afternoon. Didn't even publicize it in advance. Don't forget, you can listen back on all the podcast platforms, and you can also watch it on John Gaunt TV, my YouTube channel. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.